What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Parabellum Podcast. I'm Sean, owner of Parabellum Strength and Fitness, and of course, host of your podcast. We're trying something new today, and I've added some video feed, simply following some feedback from some of the folks who follow the podcast and would like to actually see my face. I don't know why. But anyway, I digress. As you see in the background, that is my old company logo, but it's very near and dear to my heart. You can see my current one on my hat and on my sweatshirt when I lean back. But at any rate, the old company logo is very near and dear to me because it's representative of my family. When I started Parabellum Fitness LLC 4 years ago in North Carolina, when I was stationed up there, this was the logo. Each one of those weapons represents one of my sons. The sword represents my oldest because he's slim and sleek. And to me, a sword is very slim and sleek and requires a great deal of maturity and experience to use correctly. So the oldest gets that one. The axe is representative of my youngest son because it's work. An axe is work. And my youngest son, he doesn't mind working as long as you're standing over top of him. But hey, he's a kid. And then the hammer represents my youngest. And well, he's just a hammer. there's there's no other way of putting it. He is the hammer. And then the shield represents the protection that my wife and I offer our children, or that we're responsible for with the children. So I've always said that I am working to build Parabellum as a legacy for my children. Yes, I want Parabellum to be successful, and I want Parabellum uh, to be a very good livelihood. But if you're not working to leave a legacy for your kids, what are you really working for? And eventually, and I tell my boys this, eventually I want to work to have a business that when and if I decide to retire completely, which I don't think I ever will because it provides purpose, but I want to have something that I can say, here you go, boys. This is yours. I I built something for you. This is your inheritance. You take it over and you run it. And you know, that's if they choose to do that. If they choose not to, that's fine. But I want them to have that option on the table. So, anyway, there's the there's the sentimental explanation of that logo and where my mindset is. And I think that's important to share those things with folks because this is a people oriented business, and I want people to understand with me, love me, like me, hate me, whatever it may be. I am a genuine person. So my focus is always on what am I doing to better the future of my boys. And whether or not they see that at the moment, I can't really help, as long as they know at the end of the day, hey, dad's always there. That's the biggest that is the biggest reason I retired from the army. So there's the other. If you're wondering why does this guy have swords, axes, and hammers and shields for his fitness business, I did do 20 years in the United States Army. I retired. Um, I was an 11 Bravo, served in the 82nd, the 101st, was a drill sergeant, did all those cool things. If you listen to the podcast, you already know that, so I won't bore you. But at any rate, what I want to get into today is why aren't you training like an athlete? If you go into any gym, in your hometown, you're going to see the folks that are age 25 to 50, and they're all doing static, stationary exercises. Of the all those people, They're either trying to quote unquote tone up, that's not a thing, and or get stronger. But most of them really just want to look good naked. That's it. That's all they want to do. But they all are going to tell you, well, I can't do that anymore. When it comes to, why aren't you moving a little bit? This hurts, that hurts. They'll come up with a myriad of excuses as to why they hurt. However, what they aren't considering is they hurt because they're not moving. I mean, how many people do you go in and you see in your gym that they're sitting on a machine? They move slowly to their next exercise. They take it as a lackadaisical, I'll get there type thing. They're not moving with a sense of purpose. And then they also, again, go back to that, well, I can't move like that anymore. Well, you can't move like that anymore because you stopped. That's the that's the number one reason. You stopped moving like an athlete and you lost that ability. Moving like an athlete is a perishable skill and it needs to start at a young age. It's biblical almost. Raise a child up in the way that way he will go the rest of his days. And I know that's talking about following the Lord, but we can also apply it to what we do throughout life. Whatever we start at a young age, that's probably what we'll continue doing as we get older. So, folks, I'm going to start from a young age, and I'm going to back this up with some peer-reviewed articles uh, because what I see, especially as I coach youth sports, is an expectation for a child who has not been trained. And people wave that off as, well, they're kids. Yes, they are. But if you're expecting some kind of performance out of that child, but you haven't gotten the proper training for that child, you have a very, very uh, unimaginable, unrelatable expectation. You need to train that kid to perform that way. And that doesn't involve, I've seen people comment and say, I don't want some drill sergeant, which is me, uh, putting my kid through boot camp workouts. And I absolutely don't blame you because that doesn't really do anything. You, you, I mean, you can wear a kid out, but are you making them better? And the answer is if you're wearing them out, probably not. There needs to be a purpose to the training and a process that is there to improve the outcome. The outcome is on the field. The outcome is the athletic performance that you see from that youth athlete. The process needs to be geared towards that. So, where am I going with this? As we age, we lose that ability to run, jump, things like that, because we think we shouldn't. But if we started at a young age, that's all they know. That's what they know. So they just keep doing it as they get older. And as they get older, they remain healthier. Plyometric training, low level plyometric training, especially for kids. I'm not going to put a video up of it right now, but I've got a 5-year-old who can do a 20-inch box jump because he's seen me do it his whole life. He's seen his brothers do it. So to him, it's just natural. That's what I do. He runs a 1.34 10-yard sprint, which for 5 is very good because that's what he's seen. That's what he does. And it's no big deal to him. So as we start to change our viewpoint on plyometric training, imagine what that 5-year-old is when he's 35. And a lot of people will say, well, he's probably going to be broken because he's done all this. No, not if it's done properly. Proper resistance programming with a process goal will improve the outcome. And the outcome that I want to see from my 5-year old is when he's 35, he's still perfectly capable of doing that box jump. He's still perfectly, and to him, it's just, that's what I do. It's normal. I see a lot of guys my age that immediately, if they see somebody do a box jump, their immediate answer is, I can't do that. Man, you're making me hurt. Well, I'm making you hurt because you stopped doing that. Somewhere along your road in life, you went, I don't want to do that anymore, or I'm too old to do that. What do I need that for? And then let's fast forward to your 70-year-old self, which I'm going to brag on my mom here in a minute. Can you stand on one foot? Which my 70-year-old mother just did this morning. Well, what do I need to stand on one foot for? Well, because life doesn't take place at your own comfort zone. There's going to be times where you need that balance, where if you trip, and at a certain age, if you trip and fall, you're looking at a extended recovery period from that, which degrades your quality of life. But if we do some low level plyometric training throughout our lives, we've built up good joint stiffness. There is a difference between good and bad joint stiffness. That good joint stiffness helps us with our balance, helps us when we do, take a step down off a set of steps, and it might be a little bit quick or what have you, but it helps us decelerate without injuring the joint. If we're not doing something, a little bit of a hop, we're not gaining that good joint stiffness. We're not creating good tendon and ligament strength to combat those oops moments in life. So really what I'm trying to convince you of is if you get a personal trainer or a strength coach and you're 35 years old or on past the age of 35 and you're seeing pogo hops. Well, why am I doing this? Because I want to create some health in your joints. Am I going to take, I've trained someone, the oldest I've trained is 63. Did I have him doing box jumps? No. Did I have him doing a little bit of pogo hops? Absolutely. Absolutely. And this was a retired NFL player. He played several years in the NFL. Um, and he asked me, he's like, why am I doing this? Well, because you're 63 and you're still in good enough shape to where I can have you do this. And all it's going to do is make you feel better because your goal was to keep up with your grandkids. In order to do that, we've got to make sure that you have the correct amount of joint stiffness, tendon elasticity, so that you can keep up with them out in the front yard as you're taking off on a little jog and you happen to step down, you know, on the foot the wrong way. We don't want you snapping an ankle. When I put it to him that way, and then he did that for about a month, he comes back and he goes, I do feel better. I have a little bit more bounce in my step. That's the goal. That is absolutely the goal, is just to make you have a little bit more bounce in your step. You just have to change your mind about it. So I'm going to pop up a peer-reviewed article here, and we're going to go through it. And I will do my best not to just read off of it, but there is going to be some stuff that I'm going to read. This is a article from the American College of Sports Medicine, which do they always get everything right? In my opinion, no. Do they have a tendency to err extremely on the side of caution? Yes. However, what they do write is they write articles for a generalized version of the population. They can't individualize people. When you begin to individualize people at this level, that's where you really go wrong. So they're taking a study group of a certain amount of people, putting them through a 12-week program that involves resistance training. And that resistance training is heavyweight, lightweight done at a fast pace, heavyweight done at a slower pace, because the heavier you get, the slower the rep will occur. The lighter you get, the faster the rep will occur. So let's start right here. We'll look at the abstract very quickly. Aging is associated with loss of muscle strength and power and fitness. Professionals are encouraged to apply the entire force velocity curve when prescribing power training for their elderly clients. So I'm going to go to the far end of both ends of the spectrum. There we go. Sorry. I'm going to start with the elderly and then I'll go to youth. So stick with me here. Health and fitness professionals may use machines such as leg press, chest press, and have their elderly clients perform high velocity contractions using intensities such as 20 to 15 to 80% of their 1 rep max. So what does that mean? If I'm going to take an elderly client, it's still okay to put them on these machines and work up to a 1 rep max. As a matter of fact, I'm encouraged to do so that we can have some mathematical direction of where we're going with this program instead of just playing guesswork. If you're looking at a program that says go do 3 sets of 10, you should look at somebody and go, at what weight? What percentage of my 1 rep max? How long should I be resting? What's the purpose? There should always be a purpose for every training session. If there's no purpose, you are taking 3 darts in your hand, blindfolding yourself, spinning around, and then throwing all 3 darts at once, hoping to hit bullseye. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. You got to have purpose to each training session. Okay. We're going to scroll on down here. These are the folks who wrote the article. I don't need to bore you with that, but we'll go with the definition of muscular power. It's defined as the ability to produce high amounts of force in a short amount of time. For an elderly person, high amount of force in a short amount of time for an elderly person would be getting up off the couch. And I can name, we don't even have to go to the elderly population. Let's look at the 40-year-old population. There's plenty of 40-year-olds out there that are struggling to get up off the couch. Plenty of them. Shoot, there's plenty of 25-year-olds that struggle to get up off the couch. And one of the biggest reasons for that, aside from a catastrophic injury or aside from the fact that they're obese, is because they don't do any kind of training. And people go, I need to train to get off the couch. If you want to do it well, yeah. Yeah. Especially, I'm just going to put it this way, especially you beer gutted good old boys that love to talk about getting into the action and you wish somebody would break into the house. Well, if you're thinking about it that way, if you're struggling to get up off the couch and someone breaks into your house, you're screwed. You're screwed. You're not going to be able to get up fast enough to do anything because you're not trained for that. You've trained yourself to sink into the couch. You haven't trained yourself to get up off of it. Those are just facts. What happens is, so we get into this, I'm going to sit around, and your muscles do atrophy, especially the fast twitch ones. It's right there in the paragraph, and you can read it because I'm letting it sit here. your muscles are going to atrophy. What does that mean? That means those muscle fibers pretty much go dormant and they shrink. And it usually happens to folks who become paralyzed. You'll notice an extreme shrinking. It's because those muscles aren't active. They're not being used, so they shrink. And that happens when you choose to paralyze yourself through not giving it any stimulus. Okay. It says right here, decreased power also manifests because of delayed muscle reactivation. In other words, muscles respond slowly to neural stimulus. If you're not going to train fast, you're not going to move fast. Simple as that. Which result in greater risk of injuries and falls. We've all seen the TikTok video or Instagram video where the dad is out there, beer gut and all, trying to play sports with the 12-year-old boy, and the 12-year-old boy jukes him out of his shoes. And now dad's left on the ground looking like a fool. And he has no recourse but to laugh along with everybody else. Because if he gets mad, everybody's going to say, make fun of him for being too sensitive or what have you. But in his mind, man, I try to put myself in those guys' shoes and prevent myself from becoming those guys, because in my mind, I would go, that's bad. I'm in a bad place that I can't keep up with my kid. And I just fell over myself. How can I be expected to protect my family when I can't even stay on my feet during a flag football game or a two-hand touch football game with my 12-year-old? And I know that's going to hurt a lot of male egos right there. If it hurts your ego right now, don't turn this off. You're the one that needs to hear it. You're the one that needs to watch it. And if you do turn it off, you're quitting on yourself. Bottom line. So we can look at this resistance training. It's a well-established countermeasure for sarcopenia and other age-related neuromuscular decrements in elderly populations. In other words, resistance training is going to keep your muscles from atrophying. It's also going to help with bone density as you age. Power training is an application of resistance training that may improve muscular and functional performance simultaneously. So they're going to put that may in there just as kind of a disclaimer for everyone, okay? Because every human body is different. Am I saying that this is going to help everyone? No. But on average, it will help a good portion of the population, a major portion of the population. You're going to have your outliers, okay? Power training may consist of light loads lifted rapidly, heavy loads lifted slowly, or a combination of both. That depends on programming. You're not going to want to do, you can do both in one day. That's French contrast training. But what I would recommend and what I do with everyone is, if we're going to do power training, we're going to start out with body weight, because that's really the goal, is for you to master your body weight. And by that, I mean, when you master your body weight, you can control your body in 9 out of 10 situations. You have a very clear understanding of where your center of gravity needs to be in order to control your movements. That's what it boils down to. Once you understand where your center of gravity needs to be, then you need to have the strength to control that. Then you can develop the power. So we've got to master body weight. So before anybody goes, this guy wants me to, go do power cleans. No, I want to build up to where you're doing a plyo push-up, or maybe some single leg plate hops where you're supporting yourself holding on to a power rack. We're not doing anything crazy. Muscular power, defined as the ability to produce high amount of force in a short period of time and quantified as force times velocity. Okay. You want to consider the force velocity curve. Simply inverse relationship between force and velocity. As force increases, velocity decreases. Okay. What do we mean by that? Heavy load, the velocity that you're going to move that weight is going to decrease. Lighten the load, the velocity that you move that weight increases. Okay. To train, we want to train both ends of that curve. So 30 to 60%, that's considered power training. Anywhere from 80 to 100, that's really strength training. Okay. And you can work both of those in one session. It's what I was talking about with plyometrics. Your plyometrics are going to be mostly body weight and or with a medicine ball that's 10% of your body weight. And you're going to throw that medicine ball really hard, really fast, multiple times back to back with very little rest in between. And then once that's done, you can move to your strength training because you've used that plyometric and power training portion to prime your fast twitch muscle fibers. When you lift heavy loads, it's the same muscle fibers that you're using to move light loads at a fast, at a heavy or a higher velocity, if you will. So elderly clients can benefit from high and low velocity power training because they need both to perform activities of daily living. Activities of daily living. Let that sink in. They're not talking about the elderly folks strapping on pads and playing in the NFL. They're just talking about life. For example, high velocity training may increase one's gait speed, whereas low velocity training may improve one's ability to transfer a heavy household item across shelves. Thus, both styles should be included in a training plan and can be introduced with a simple linear periodization. That just means take a line graph, for example. We're going to increase resistance 5 pounds a week, or we're going to increase reps, 1 rep per week. Very, very simple. Okay. Where training initially focuses on general strength, high force, low velocity, and then transitions to low intensity, high velocity. So, beginning of the week, we're going to go heavy. Towards the end of the week, we're going to go lighter and move faster. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the exercises for elderly. A 10-meter walking sprint. Yep. Those are your mall walkers that look like they're about to dislocate their hips. 8-foot up and go test. Stand up from a chair. Walk around a cone 8 feet away. That sounds really hard. Now we get to a medicine ball throw test, a sit to stand test. Granted, this is for folks who would be in that elderly age range, and down here you can see what they're considering. 84 elderly folks in the sample test, age 68 to 69. I'm not even really directing this at folks that age. I'm directing this to folks between the age of 25 to 55. The folks that I most often come into contact with that look at this stuff and go, or look at what I do and go, what do I need to do that for? Well, let's look. They did a study group, which means they tested all these folks. They put them on a 12-week program, and 84 of them, healthy and untrained adults. Untrained. So that means these folks weren't doing anything or doing very, very little before this program. to train with 20%, 50%, or 80% of a 1 rep max. That means they had to go do a 1 rep max. All groups performed 3 sets of 8 reps for 5 total body exercises on pneumatic machines, so it wasn't even free weights, using a 3-second eccentric contraction, meaning if you're doing a bench press, the eccentric is where the bar is coming down, and then a rapid concentric. So I program that for my clients. We're going to do 3 seconds down, 1 second hold, 1 second fire back up. That's that time under tension thing. So, although muscular endurance and strength increased for every group, further analysis revealed a dose-response relationship between intensity and these adaptations. The results suggest that light, moderate, and heavy external loads increase power similarly, but heavier loads may be required to maximize the adaptation for endurance and strength in elderly populations. So we need to go heavy. Heavy is relative. There's not a single distinct definition of heavy. It's going to be relative to the individual and what they can do. So I'm not expecting, I'm not going to take my mom out to my gym and go, hey, I want you to deadlift 500 pounds. That's unrealistic. But heavy for her might be 95 pounds. And if I can get that to her, or if I can get her to that, hey, we're doing great. If my 70-year-old mom picks up 95 pounds, I'm happy. I'm super happy. That means she's strong. That's where we want to be. And of course, there's sidebars, study. Those are individuals. And I will definitely copy and paste this into the description. Okay. Plyometric. Here we are. Because plyometric training involves rapid muscular contractions, it is logical to presume that such training would increase power for elderly clients. Okay. Training in 58 elderly women, age 67, unfamiliar with resistance exercise. So that means they were just starting out. All subjects performed general strength training program, 2 to 3 sets, 12 to 20 reps, 2-2. So 2 seconds down. They kind of, I'm not thrilled with the way they did the tempo here because it should be 2/2/1/1. So 2 seconds down, 2 seconds hold, 1 second back up, and then a 1 second reset. That would be a better explanation of tempo. So they did this for 6 weeks before being randomly assigned to traditional, which is just basically a repeat of what they did before at a higher weight, lower rep scheme, or power, which is going to be a little bit lower weight, same reps, but extremely fast tempo. Okay. Traditional and power groups perform leg press, knee extension, blah, 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 telling you what it is. The major takeaway is that all the programs significantly increased muscle hypertrophy, strength, activation, power, and functional performance. The plyometric group was the most effective for increasing muscle activation, reaction time, power, and functional performance. Give me 1 second to take a little sidebar when it comes to that word functional. That is the most overused, falsely marketed word in fitness. Here's why. You're going to see CrossFit or any variation of CrossFit talk about this is functional fitness. You dive into any textbook, you dive into any peer-reviewed article about quote unquote functional fitness, they will all say functional fitness is this: make a muscle stronger, it's more functional. If you're doing bicep curls and your biceps get stronger, You've just done functional fitness. Isolate the muscle, make the muscle stronger. You're more functional. If you get stronger, period, you're more functional. Strength is functional. Strength is the key to a more quality physical life. I can't do anything about your mental, but I can tell you this: you're having a bad day, go pump some iron. Your bad day will go away real quick. So those plyometrics, they did the most for your reaction time. They did the most for people's reaction time. They did the most for their power and their functional performance. Doing a few little hops, just bouncing on your toes can do wonders for you. If you can work up to a box jump, work up to it. You don't have to do a ton of it. I mean, to be quite honest, uh, look at it. 3 to 4 sets of 15 to 20 seconds. To me, that's too much. What I would do is 2 sets of 10 seconds. And we're going to, in those 10 seconds, if we're doing pogo hops, we're trying to get as high as we possibly can, but we're really focused on the form of it. If you focus on the how, the process, the result will get better. The outcome will get better. You've got to focus on the how. Don't just focus, all right, go hop on your toes for a little while. Okay. And I'll do a full episode where I'm showing you how to do pogo hops. I'm not going to do it today. Next, let's go over to the other end of the spectrum. Free weight resistance training in youth athletes. I'm not going to read all that to you because I've done that already. Resistance training, it's important for no matter what you're doing. Okay, but for young athletes, the development of strength and power may have long-term implications for their sporting careers. Confounding factor of maturation on training adaptations in terms of training versus growth, induced strength/power gains can complicate the training process. There's where we run into things. There's where we run into problems. You get coaches who don't understand, who don't take the time to assess the individual, and they've got an 11-year-old with a barbell on their back, and that 11-year-old can't even complete a 1-minute plank. That is the wrong answer. 100% wrong answer. If that 11-year-old can't complete a 1-minute plank, that 11-year-old absolutely has no business getting underneath the barbell. Now, this article is going to talk a lot about chronologic age, and that's basically, you're 6 years old. That's your chronological age. You can't base every individual off of that, and it's going to state it right here. Is defined at a selected time point from date of birth. Chronological age is typically utilized to categorize age groups for competition and academy squads. We've all seen that's youth sports all over. This age to this age is pee-wee football. This age to this age is junior, so on and so forth. Same thing with Little League Baseball. Okay. However, individuals of the same chronological age can differ greatly in terms of biological age. Biological means where they are with their body. Some kids, they mature physically faster than others. That's just fact. Where parents get scared is they see the videos of coaches having that 11-year-old do a back squat, and then that 11-year-old pops up with a lower back injury or hip injury, whatever. It's coaches that don't have a clue what they're doing. It's coaches that played a little bit of football either in high school or JUCO and went, well, I know what I'm doing. I can make them strong. This is the way it's always been done. Well, just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it's the right way. You've got to assess each individual. Okay. Is there anything wrong with strength training with the youth? Absolutely not. And as you read on, this article will tell you no, there is nothing wrong with strength training. As a matter of fact, like it said at the beginning, it's going to have long term positive effects for the youth athlete. But let's look past their athletic career. I'm not going to say the exact percentage of kids that make it into playing college sports because I don't know that. But it's really low. And it's even lower for the kid that's going to play from age 5 all the way into the majors or the NFL. Let's just be honest. Most of the kids that we see playing sports, they're not going to play past high school. And after high school is when we all kind of go, well, your hero days are over. It's time for you to go work at the plant and get your beer gut. Why? Why would we do that? Why would we not want to continue having them train like an athlete and maintain some of the athleticism? They don't need to be in the gym for 2.5 hours a day. I'm not talking about that. I'm not advocating that. But we should keep that some of that athleticism so that they're healthier. It maintains bone density. And if you have the mindset of, I need to go train, I guarantee you we're going to have healthier bones, healthier joints, healthier ligaments, healthier tendons. Are there going to be injuries? Yes. Yes. Sidebar, once again, you hear a coach talking about bulletproofing your body or injury proofing your body, turn around, walk the other way. They're full of crap. You're going to incur injuries. That's anything in life, though. You can either get injured and have a cool story. You know, I pulled a hamstring. This is me personally. I pulled a hamstring 2 weeks ago doing a front foot elevated reverse lunge with 100-pound dumbbells, one in each hand. I would much rather say I pulled a hamstring doing that than my 5-year-old took off around the bases and I tried to catch him and I pulled a hamstring. If that happened to me while chasing my 5-year-old, I'd be embarrassed. It would scream, you as a father are not capable of protecting your family. However, pulling a hamstring doing a 200-pound lunge, yeah, I'm still got a pulled hamstring, but at least I know I was working towards something and, well, stuff happens. Now, here's the other great thing about being well conditioned later on in life. You heal faster from those things. That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't squatted since, but I haven't stopped moving. I was dragging a 230-pound sled the other day. That's not because I'm special. It's not because I'm tough. It's because I'm well conditioned. If we do this from youth and we continue it on through our entire life, no matter what, your skills are going to degrade. If we take a look at our greatest athletes, let's look at I'm trying to pick a running back here that their skill. Okay, Adrian Peterson. If you go sit down and watch Adrian Peterson's training videos, I mean, the guy was pulling a Mack truck, for crying out loud. And he played forever at a high level. He just got old. And you could see his skills diminishing. But I guarantee you, if I had access to Adrian Peterson today and said, hey, man, I want to run you through a workout, he could still perform amazingly. Okay, now that's at the top end of the spectrum. People are going to roll their eyes. Well, yeah, of course, he's an NFL player. He could do that. Yes. But it's because he didn't stop training that way. I mean, the guy had 2 ACL surgeries and then bounced back to lead the league in rushing the year after coming back from them. That's not a that's not just a miracle that happened by chance. That happened because of the way he trained. Am I telling you we need to train like Adrian Peterson? No. I'm just telling you that if you maintain some of that athletic training and focus on your power, you're going to feel better. Are you going to be a little sore? Yes. You're going to be a little sore. Get over it. And I'm definitely talking to the dads that played high school football, graduated high school, and quit training because they didn't see a need for it anymore. And granted, and I hope you never have to use it, but think about it this way. If you're doing this, if you don't have any better motivation to get up and go do this training, if you yourself feeling better isn't a good enough reason, think about your family. Think about the house being on fire and you've got to get the family out. But you're 40 pounds overweight. You haven't you haven't picked anything up heavier than a Bud Light in 9 to 10 years. You think you're going to be able to do that for your family? No, absolutely not. You can give me the adrenaline will carry me through. It might. It might. Odds are it won't. You're going to be stuck in the water. And then you're going to blame yourself for that. And I know that's super, super intense, right? But let's go back to this. You're 68 years old. Your oldest child has kids. You're now a grandparent. Your grandkids, come on, grandpa, let's go play. You can't get up off the couch. You're 45. Your oldest son wants to go play catch. You're struggling to get up off the couch. You're going to talk to me about all your injuries. Stop right there. I'm the last guy you talk to about injuries. Either I've experienced them myself or I know plenty of dudes with much worse injuries than most, and they're still out there doing something physical. I know guys that are missing limbs and they're competing in CrossFit. I know guys that are missing limbs and they're back to jumping out of airplanes for the United States Army. Stop with your injury stuff. It's not a badge of honor. It's something that can be worked around. Are there catastrophic injuries? Absolutely. Are there injuries that are so bad they prevent people from doing just about anything? Yes, but that's the extreme case. You can still do something to improve yourself. And we go back to the youth right there. That's all you really need to know. Long-term implications for sporting career. I talked, I've got a buddy up in Charlotte that he's in same genre or same line of work. He runs an amazing uh, strength and conditioning gym up in Charlotte. I mean, amazing. And I coached his son, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now. I don't know. Anyway, 5, 6 years ago. Anyway, his son at the time, it was his first year playing football. Was not an athletic specimen. Nice young man because he's got great parents, but wasn't anything really to write home about. And his son posted a reel on Instagram the other day of him running routes. And I thought it was my buddy that posted it of his son, but it was his son doing his own account, which tells me I'm getting old. Um, but this kid was running crisp routes. I mean, planting the foot, moving at a high rate of speed with quickness. And I could watch it and I could see a reflection of his dad because he bought into his dad's training. And that young man's going to go far, but he's also going to be healthy. He's going to be very, very healthy because he's going to continue to train because it's just part of life now. That's what we do. We train. There's a reason that we're doing it every day. I take my boys out to the gym. I strength train them. And every day I give them a reason. Okay, here's what we're working on today and why we're working on it. We're going to work on getting stronger today so that we can get faster tomorrow. Okay. And then when they're doing a Bulgarian split squat, my youngest, how does this make me faster? Do you run on 2 feet or do you run on 1 foot? There's always 1 foot on the ground, the other one's off the ground. So we got to make them equally strong. And we can't do that by having both feet on the ground all the time. Oh, makes sense. Works for him. Youth training, it's got to be done smartly. If you go to my TikTok or my Instagram, I'm starting to put up some of the training that I do with youth, especially a young lady that runs track. And I'm by no means a track coach. What I am is a strength coach that understands if you get someone stronger, their quality of life improves, their performance will improve. Bottom line, Louis Simmons said it best: weak things break. I believe Louis Simmons also said that if you're not getting stronger, you're getting weaker, which is not what we want. We want to continuously get stronger. This 13-year-old young lady, like I said, if you go to my TikTok or Instagram, you'll see her. She is a 400-meter runner. Uh, Apparently, this past Monday, she ran a 400-meter race into about a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, which I do believe because it is Texas and it is very windy down here. She improved her time by microseconds from the previous Monday, which was ran in no wind. So she ran a 107, but her microseconds improved running into a headwind. And this was her track coach telling me this. And her track coach uh, happens to be her stepdad, but he brings her into the gym this past week and he goes, I got to tell you, I was watching the way you do things and I really appreciate it. Now, this isn't me patting myself on the back. Uh, this was a great compliment to me. He said, I've watched what you do and you're not just some guy that woke up one day and said, I'm going to train athletes. You've taken the time to get educated on this. And I said, I really appreciate that. He goes, what I really appreciate is I don't see a barbell anywhere near her. I said, no, she's not ready for that. She won't be ready for that, I don't think, for another 2 to 3 years. I said, eventually she's going to have to do some barbell squats to gain that absolute strength, but we're not there yet. We got to teach her how her body works. And I said, she's still growing. Now, there's the big misconception: growth plates. You'll stunt your growth if you lift heavy. No, you won't. No, you won't. You will not stunt growth. You will stunt growth by cracking growth plates by putting a barbell on someone's back too soon. It's not the overall strength training that is dangerous. It's the uneducated strength training. It's the uneducated. It's chasing the outcome that gets kids injured. What do I mean by that? It's chasing the numbers. And same could be said in the elderly population. Same could be said for folks here in middle age at my stage in life. Chasing that number is what gets people in trouble. Whereas if we chase the process, sorry, I realized I wasn't looking at the camera. We're new on the camera thing. Get over it. If we chase the process and improve the process, the outcome will improve. It has no choice but to improve. So if I take that 13-year-old girl and I've got her doing goblet squats, even if it's for 2 years, holding a kettlebell or a dumbbell in front of your body, holding it up, that's going to require more strength out of her shoulders, her upper back, her triceps, her biceps, her forearms, her core, her hip flexors. When I say core, I really mean abs. So her abs are going to get worked. Her hip flexors are going to get worked. Her glutes, her hamstrings, even her feet. But if I just throw a barbell on her back, now I am compressing her spine at age 13. And at age 13, again, going by a chronological age, her biological age, she does not know how to properly brace her core yet. There's not that mind to muscle connection to do a barbell back squat. Guess what? I can say that for a major portion of the adult population because there's not that mind to muscle connection. But as we teach that through the process, it will get there. It will get there. And once we understand how to strengthen the core and how to brace the core, now we're ready to graduate to the barbell. I don't understand why we don't look at strength training like we would formal education in school. You got to graduate each grade. You got to do certain things to move on to the next grade. What we don't have is we don't have coaches who are process oriented. We have coaches that are outcome oriented because at the end of the day, our society is, well, I want to see how much weight I can lift. Well, I'd rather see how much weight you can lift safely. And that means be patient. We'll get there. If we would take a look at, let's do plyo training before trying to lift that weight, you're probably going to be able to lift more weight. I don't care what a kid can do at age 11. They're not going to set the world on fire. They're not. We've gotten too viral crazy about that. We shouldn't be trying to set the world on fire. I'm going to stop the share here. Your 10-year-old's not going to set the athletic world on fire. Hate to break it to you. Your 16-year-old probably isn't either. 18-year-old, maybe. Stop chasing that outcome. Chase that process. If you're my age and you haven't already set the world on fire when it comes to athleticism, you're probably not going to. But that doesn't mean you quit doing it. You still want to give yourself the chance to play with your kids, defend your kids, save your kids, something. You know, I know for a fact my wife loves seeing me be able to jump up out of a chair and chase the boys around the house. She loves it for two reasons. It's funny, but the other reason is it makes her feel safe. I know this because I did it the other night when I pulled my hamstring and my oldest son decided, hey, you know, the old lion is down for the count. And I asked him something and he said, no, 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 don't get up, Dad. I wouldn't want you to pull your other hamstring. And before he could get out of my office and make it up the stairs, I was trailing him, limping as I did it, but still moving quickly. And as he ran into his little brother's room for protection, his little brother went, I ain't helping you. I pulled him out of the room and brought him back downstairs and gave him a noogie. And my wife just looked at me and had this big grin. I went, what? Is it funny? And she goes, oh, yeah, he definitely got what he deserved. But no, she said it warms my heart to see that you can still do it when necessary. Like, well, if I didn't train, I couldn't. And she said, I know that. I know that. You're not, you keep training so that you can move quickly. So to wrap this up, and I'm going to keep harping on this. One of the ministers that I love, Kenneth Hagin, he preached Mark 11:23 and 24, I think for like 30 some years in just different wording because that's the message. My message is I don't need you to deadlift 500 pounds. You want to deadlift 500 pounds? Cool. But be patient with the process. My message is I want to help people feel better. I want to help people move better. I want to help people go to the doctor, come back with excellent blood work because their nutrition's on point. I want to help people get stronger and last longer. Weak things break. Strong things last longer. There may be a little bit of rust on you. That's all right. We can knock that rust off. You just have to buy in and go put in the work. So, anyway, I will be posting. If you go to like I said, go to my TikTok. I posted a video yesterday of that young lady. And when you look at that training, you're going to go, it looks an awful lot like what he does. Oh, yeah, because it works. It's just going to be at a lower weight, lower rep count, less sets. We're just trying to get that stimulus going. It doesn't need to be the weight that I do, but it can be a little bit different. It's on my Instagram as well. All of it, Parabellum Fitness. At any rate, I'm going to post these two peer-reviewed articles. I highly encourage you, go through, read them, and fact check me. I don't mind a little bit of banter. You can reply to the email. You can reply to the show, whatever you want. You can DM me on any one of my social medias. And I don't mind a little bit of back and forth. Be respectful. That's all I ask. Let's have an adult conversation and start off with a question. It's the best thing you can do. That's what I do. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope this helps somebody out. Remember, be strong. Do not let your hands be weak, for the Lord shall reward the work of your hands. Check out www.parabellumsaf.com and have a great day.